Most people are waiting for the winds to change direction, for the stars to align perfectly, for the economy to recover, for someone to discover them, or for some invisible hand to pull them into the life they've always dreamed of. They wait with quiet desperation, with the hope that someday something will click, that fortune will tap them on the shoulder like a forgotten friend returning with good news. But here's the unvarnished truth, the part no one wants to hear. Life doesn't get better by chance. It doesn't magically transform because of time or luck or coincidence. It gets better through intention, through conscious, repeated decisions that stack upon each other like bricks in a house. It gets better when you stop waiting and start moving, when you stop wishing and start doing. Growth doesn't arrive wrapped in mystery. It's the predictable result of aligned actions taken consistently. It's not luck. It's strategy, resolve, and grit. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to criticize hope. Hope, in many ways, is one of the most powerful forces a human being can carry. It's the candle that flickers during the darkest hour. It's the sunrise that suggests maybe, just maybe, the night doesn't last forever. Hope keeps people alive when logic says they should have given up. But we must draw a line in the sand. Hope without action is a fantasy. It's a mirage dressed in a tuxedo. It looks good, it sounds good, but it leads nowhere. If you sit still hoping to change, you're not really hoping, you're hiding. Because true transformation isn't born from mere desire, it's born from commitment, from showing up, from doing the work, even on the days when you feel like curling up and quitting. You can hope all you want, but unless you choose to change and act on that choice, you remain in the exact same place, only older. Imagine walking into a patch of land, just dirt, nothing planted. You stand there, close your eyes, and begin to hope. Hope for strawberries, for ripe tomatoes, for basil so fragrant it perfumes the breeze. But you don't plant, you don't water, you don't pull weeds or keep pests away. You just hope. What will grow? Not strawberries, not basil, weeds. That's the law of nature. And that's exactly how life works. If you're not deliberately cultivating your future, something else will take root in your life, usually by default. Distraction will sprout, regret will find footing, and disappointment will take up residence. Life doesn't stay neutral. Without design, it drifts. And unless you bring intention, unless you become the gardener of your own destiny, what grows in your world will rarely be what you wanted. Weeds don't require effort. Gardens do. There's a law that governs the universe, entropy. Left alone, everything moves from order to disorder. That's not pessimism, that's physics. A house left unattended decays, muscles unused weaken. Love unexpressed fades. Life, when left on autopilot, doesn't improve. It unravels, not in a dramatic, villainous way, but in quiet, unnoticed slips. A skipped workout here, an ignored friendship there, a goal postponed until tomorrow that somehow never comes. And slowly, piece by piece, what once had potential now carries the weight of missed chances. It's not punishment, it's simply the natural rhythm of things. Growth demands intention, decline requires nothing. If you do nothing, things fall apart. Health declines, relationships erode, opportunities vanish like mist in the morning sun. Understanding this doesn't require panic, but it does demand awareness, because every moment you delay your effort, your life slowly answers back with decay. But let me reassure you, you don't need to panic over any of this. You don't need to spiral into anxiety or regret, but you do need to wake up. You need to understand the truth staring you in the face. Waiting doesn't work. Life doesn't owe you a turnaround. There's no scheduled arrival for someday. If you're hoping that things will get better on their own, that clarity or strength or success will simply appear one morning with the sunrise, you'll be disappointed. Not because you're cursed, but because you're misinformed. Too many people waste years waiting for the perfect moment, not realizing that every moment is an opportunity in disguise. The truth is, change doesn't knock, or it responds to invitation. And if you wait too long, decades even, you may find that the life you dreamed of never came because you never started walking toward it. I meet people constantly who say, "Jim, I just need a break. I need that one lucky moment to set me free." And I get it. Life can feel like a long stretch of struggle, and the idea of a windfall or breakthrough is intoxicating. But here's the problem with that thinking. It makes you passive. It turns you into a gambler instead of a strategist. Sure, lightning strikes, windfalls happen, people win lotteries and get discovered. But counting on those things is like building your house on sand. The odds are not in your favor. Hope is not a plan, wishing is not a strategy, and most of the time the house wins. If you want a break, create one. If you want a door to open, build it and walk through it. Because relying on the unpredictable is the same as choosing to stay stuck, except with better excuses. Let's be brutally honest. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable. It demands energy. It shakes you from your patterns and forces you to confront the uncomfortable truth that maybe, just maybe, you've been complicit in your own stagnation. That's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? It means admitting that while the world may have wronged you, you've also made choices that led here. It means recognizing that comfort and growth rarely live in the same neighborhood. That's why so many resist change, not because they can't, but because they don't want to face the discomfort of becoming honest with themselves. True transformation doesn't begin with a plan or a vision board. It begins with a confrontation, a moment where you look yourself in the mirror and say, "I've played a part in this, and I'm ready to play a part in what comes next." But here's the beauty of that confrontation. Once you've had it, you are no longer a victim. You stop being a bystander in your own life. You reclaim the one thing the world can never take from you, your agency. You become the cause, not the effect. You move from the passenger seat into the driver's seat. And from that moment forward, everything changes. Not because life got easier, but because you got braver. You stop blaming, stop complaining, and start building. You stop hoping someone else will rescue you and realize you've had the keys to your cage all along. Victimhood is easy, but it's heavy. Responsibility is hard, but it's freeing. Because once you accept that your life is your responsibility, you unlock a power most people never tap into. You become the architect of your own becoming. Alan Watts once said that waking up to life is like waking from a dream in which you believed you were the puppet, only to discover that you were the puppeteer all along. That image strikes deep, doesn't it? Because for much of life we move as though we are being pulled by forces beyond us. Expectations, fears, habits, and inherited beliefs. We think we are at the mercy of circumstances, when in truth we are the ones writing the rules of the game. Real change feels like that moment of waking. It's jarring, it's sobering, but it's also electrifying. You suddenly realize that you've had more control than you believed. That your thoughts, your choices, your words, these have always been the strings. And when you realize you can pull them, not just be pulled by them, you start to feel something radical, freedom. There is a single powerful moment that alters your future. Not the new year, not your birthday, not some external event. It's the moment you decide. Truly decide that your current path will not get you to where you want to go. That realization that this road leads to a destination you don't want is the beginning of your real journey. Most people live on autopilot, continuing down roads out of habit or fear. But the moment you pause, take inventory, and choose differently, that's when everything shifts. Not because of the calendar, not because Mercury is no longer in retrograde, but because you activated the only switch that matters, your will. Decisions shape destiny. And once you decide to pivot, you unlock the power to begin again, with wisdom this time. Direction always trumps speed. Let that sink in. You can be running at full throttle, giving 110%, hustling day and night, but if you're headed the wrong way, you're just getting lost faster. Many people confuse motion with progress. They stay busy but not intentional. They race through life without ever asking if they're even going the right way. The power lies not in how fast you go, but in where you're going. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is stop, turn around, and take one step in a better direction. Even slowly, even unsure, but deliberately. A pivot, however small, can change your entire trajectory. 1 degree off now leads to miles of difference later. So forget the obsession with speed. Focus on aim. That's where the real transformation begins. Here's one of life's greatest myths: that it's happening to you. That you're a spectator in a film, powerless to affect the script. But that's not how this works. You're not the audience. You're the actor, the director, the screenwriter. You don't just react, you create, scene by scene, line by line. Life doesn't hand you a finished manuscript. It gives you a blank page, and every decision, every habit, every belief, these are your words. You get to rewrite at any moment. You're not stuck with what's been written before. You can tear it up and start over. You can edit, revise, grow. The beauty is no one else gets to hold the pen but you. So the question is, are you watching your life unfold, or are you writing the story you actually want to live? I always say, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. That isn't an insult, it's an invitation. Because if you grow stronger, wiser, more capable, then everything in your life begins to shift around that growth. Challenges don't disappear, but your ability to rise above them does. You begin to see problems not as roadblocks, but as workouts for your character. You stop shrinking from adversity and start standing taller in its presence. The more you grow, the more life opens up to meet you. Opportunities that once felt out of reach begin to feel natural. People sense your growth and respond to it. It's not about changing the world, it's about changing your approach to the world. And when you improve, the world reflects that improvement right back to you. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think success is about having more money, more stuff, more praise. But that's surface level. Real success is about becoming more disciplined in your habits, more patient in your setbacks, more focused in your vision, more awake to what truly matters. Because when you become more, having more is inevitable. You attract it, you align with it, you sustain it. But none of that happens by accident. It begins with intention, with waking up every day and deciding that today you will not coast, you will craft. You'll approach your life like a builder approaches blueprints. You'll measure, you'll plan, you'll execute. And through that process, brick by brick, you don't just build a life, you build yourself. And that's the most valuable construction project you'll ever undertake. There is something profoundly spiritual, almost sacred, about taking full responsibility for your life. And no, I don't mean guilt. Guilt is a weight that says, I am wrong, and it often paralyzes us into self-condemnation. But responsibility is the voice of power. It says, yes, this is mine. Yes, this happened. But I have the ability to respond. I have the power to change the story. Responsibility doesn't anchor you to your mistakes. It hands you the pen and invites you to write a better chapter. It's not a sentence. It's a liberation. The man or woman who fully embraces responsibility steps into a rare kind of freedom. They cease to be victims of their environment. They no longer wait for the world to improve, for the market to shift, or for someone else to fix their pain. They become unshackled from the exhausting cycle of blame. Why? Because they've stopped trying to control the external and have mastered the internal. They understand that while the world may offer storms, they have the choice to either curse the rain or learn how to build a better roof, light a fire, and keep walking forward. That is power. That is true independence. But let's not be naive. Taking responsibility doesn't mean pretending you control the weather. You don't. Life will throw storms your way, sometimes without warning, sometimes without mercy. Or people will leave, jobs will vanish, your health may falter. But power isn't found in perfect conditions. It's found in how you respond when those conditions fall apart. Can you plant during the downpour? Can you keep building when the winds howl? The truth is, the rain will come whether or not you're ready. The only real question is, will you grow through it or shrink beneath it? There's a strange, beautiful paradox in this journey. The moment you stop waiting for the world to change and begin changing yourself, the world starts to respond. Doors you didn't notice before suddenly open. People cross your path in divine timing. Ideas begin to surface like bubbles rising from deep waters. Why? Because the universe, whether you call it energy, God, or nature, doesn't reward stagnation. Still water rots. Flowing water heals. The minute you move, truly move, not in circles, but forward, intentionally, authentically, the current shifts with you. I've seen men with nothing in their pockets transform into men of abundance. Not because they stumbled into luck or inherited a fortune, but because they reinvented themselves from the inside out. They stopped waiting for wealth to appear and started becoming the kind of person wealth is drawn to. They rewrote their beliefs, rebuilt their routines, changed the conversations they allowed into their lives. They understood a powerful truth: you cannot harvest where you haven't planted. Hoping to be rich while thinking poor is like expecting to breathe deeply while you drown in shallow waters. Everything in life bows to the law of cause and effect. You don't build muscle by browsing workout videos. You build it by picking up the weight again and again when no one's watching. You don't become a successful entrepreneur by dreaming of million-dollar ideas. You do it by solving $10 problems consistently. Imagination is a seed, but it's action that grows the tree. Their books and theories are beautiful, but they're the map, not the mountain. You only get stronger when you start climbing, step by sweaty, uncertain, courageous step. Here's a truth people often miss. You don't need a revolution to change your life. You need a shift, a tilt, a moment of raw honesty with yourself. One conversation you've been avoiding, or one habit you decide to build, not next month, but today. Small steps don't look heroic, but they're the foundation of every transformation. Or think about it, a domino the size of a coin can eventually topple one the size of a wall if it starts moving. Don't aim for the fireworks, aim for the spark. That's where the fire begins. Never underestimate the power of a small beginning. Most people want the mountain, but forget the value of the first step. They want the celebration without the sacrifice. But greatness isn't forged in a moment. It's built in the quiet repetition of showing up, again and again. You don't teleport to the top of Everest. You lace your boots, breathe through the altitude, and ascend one rock at a time. The summit may give you the view, but the rhythm of the climb, that daily discipline, is what makes you worthy of it. Chance is a seducer. It whispers soft lullabies like maybe someday and convinces you to sleep through another year. It cloaks inaction in the disguise of optimism. But make no mistake, waiting is a slow death of potential. You don't drift your way into greatness, you awaken into it. Change isn't soft, it's disruptive. It kicks down your comfort zones, slaps excuses off your face, and says, let's go now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. And if you let it, if you welcome that discomfort, it will lead you not just to a new life, but to a new you. The world doesn't owe you change, and you don't owe the world your silence. You owe yourself the effort, the journey, the decision to become more than what was handed to you. If you want your life to improve, improve yourself. If you want better relationships, become a better communicator. If you want wealth, become more valuable. It sounds simple, because it is. Simple, not easy, but that's the thrill of it. You get to be the author of your life. You don't need luck. You need clarity. You don't need fate. You need a plan. Life will not get better by chance, but it will, oh yes, it will get better by change. So the question is no longer, will things get better? The real question is, will you get better? And if the answer is yes, then my friend, your whole world is already on its way to transformation.